Hello and welcome to the Divorce to Bliss podcast. Here you will learn all things related to healing from divorce, mind, body, and spirit, so you can create a beautiful new life filled with happiness. I'm Rachel Ruby, author of Divorce to Bliss, divorce coach, speaker, and attorney, and I'm so glad you found me here. Hello and welcome to the Divorce to Bliss podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about using your voice to heal, or how our voice can actually help us get into real deep healing. And if you watched my podcast on unmuting yourself, this is more of a deep dive. And I have a wonderful guest here today. Her name is Anna Beaumont. And Anna has spent more than 20 years exploring the voice and its deep connection to life, harmony, and human expression. Her integrative approach blends singing, psychology, spirituality, nervous system work, and the chakra system to help people uncover their natural voice. Often described as a musical shaman, Anna guides people beyond fear and self-consciousness toward a voice that is authentic, alive, and free. Through her body of work, The Natural Voice, Anna has helped transform lives through voice, presence, and connection. So I am so grateful to have you here today, Anna. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rachel. It is so great to be here, to be talking about this with you, knowing a little bit about your history with your father. I think that is just amazing that you and I came together. So thank you for this.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, my birth father was, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this. I probably have, but he was a musician, and a very talented one. So I feel like he pulled me and Anna together for this one. And I'm super excited for you all to meet Anna and experience what she has to share. So Anna, why don't we start by, I'd love to hear you share with us about your background and how it inspired you to help others to learn how to let their voice out.
Yes, I started singing at a very young age, and I had a trajectory about going into my career and singing that was going to be something that just was that, singing. It wasn't going to have anything to do with healing. And at some point along the way, after having so much what I would call overexposure in the world of singing and on stage, I ended up turning into a healer and using my voice to help myself heal me and then others. Let's just go back a little bit here. And when I started singing with my father doing musical theater. And then I went to college and took music. And then I had this opportunity. Now, this is really interesting. This is my first big foray into the world. I applied to sing the theme song for the Olympics, 1988 Olympics, David Foster's song, "Can't You Feel It? There's Love in the Air." And I got in to audition for David Foster. And so I sang at the closing ceremonies of this was a long time ago, 1988 Olympics in Calgary. And that was, after that, my career just snowballed and snowballed into all of these incredible things happening to me. They were just handed to me. I sang for the Mary Wilson of the Supremes. I became the first white Supreme in history, and I'm in the record books, in her books. I traveled with her for a long time and got to know her and her family. Then I toured China and parts of the States. And here's the thing. All of these things were happening, and it was snowballing. And I began to start to feel a little bit unhinged inside of myself. So when I came back home to Edmonton, where I live, I started to feel all these things. Now we would call this like a nervous system overload. And I was starting to lose my voice, and this was my livelihood, and I was terrified of this. And I began to just sit down, and I felt really guided to just sit down and to sing to myself and to nobody else. Mm-hmm. This was the moment where everything shifted for me, and I started to feel my inner world in a way that I had never felt before. it wasn't about any audiences. It wasn't about anything. It was just about me trying to reconnect to me without any expectations, without any pressures. And that right there was a bit of an awakening. And I started to realize this inner world that is being projected outwards as we are singing. But equally and oppositely, there is an inside world that is getting touched whenever we sing. So just to say, like, make this a little bit clearer, whenever the voice goes outwards, it's also going inwards. So we are focused as people, humans, singers, on that external voice. But there is an internal voice that touches our internal energy, all of our body. And this is what was the awakening for me. So that just took me down all these roads into healing, into studying everything that I studied. It was all about me, returning to me.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful that you discovered that and figured that out. And that is truly, like you said, an awakening. And I was going to ask you about those energies, about, you say that everyone's voice or their vocal cords is a reflection of different energies, different types of energies. Did you want to expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I like to say the voice, your voice is a reflection from your connection. So what I mean by that is these little tiny vocal cords are capable of processing and harnessing your whole entire inner world from the top of the head to the tip of your toes. It all appears through the sound of your voice. And this is your inner world, your inner feeling world, this passion from your solar plexus, the emotions from your belly, the sense of vibration from your throat. And really the one that I think is really interesting that people miss a lot. And again, we're talking about the reflection of the inner world to the outer world here, is the fact that the eyes hold the clarity of our voice. This third eye holds, when we activate it, it holds and it clears energy and it creates a clarity inside of the voice. So that's just a start. All of the chakras themselves, the whole body, they all have a different purpose and a different quality that comes through the sound of the voice when we activate and align to our whole body.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. It's amazing. Can you talk about a little bit about the difference between, because I know before when we first connected, you mentioned the difference between masculinity and femininity in the voice.
Yes, it's so fascinating to me, these little tiny vocal cords and what they can process through. So the vocal cords are a combination. When there is one tone that comes out, it is a combination of two things: treble and bass, light and dark, or you could say a bright texture in the sound, along with a dark texture in the sound. Like if you think about your stereo, if you only turned up your treble, that is one side of the coin of your voice. But what we're looking for is to have a balance of light and dark. Now, how does this work with the masculine and the feminine? So you can consider that the masculine and the feminine is those two voices coming together. So let's say I sing, so that has right there a great deal of the feminine in it, and the masculine is holding the structure of the grounding in the body. So within these little tiny vocal cords, I'll just get a little bit technical. Why not? So
Sure.
the front of the vocal cords, here is our vocal cords. They're like this. And they come together. Now, at the front, there is a cartilage called the cricothyroid. That is our head tone, or that is our feminine. At the back, these arytenoids are at the back of the throat, and these arytenoids, when they come together, this acts like our masculine, holding steady the feminine. So I will say that one of the biggest things that happens, because I'm just going to bridge here into what happens with women when they run into issues with their voice and when they're going through pain and trauma and they've left a marriage and all of this. A lot of the time, this is what I see over and over with my clients, is that front cartilage, which you remember is really responsible for the brightness and the feminine at the front. It lets go. I'm not kidding. It lets go in not a good way. And it's always that the back, which is the masculine, is pushing the feminine forward and is bullying her forward. So this is, I work with people all the time so I can hear this inner relationship with the masculine and the feminine to see how they're living their lives and who is running the show. It's crazy. So if you go to a palm reader, they will read your palm and they can tell a lot, your feet, but the voice is the same thing. So it reads and tells the story of this inner relationship of your masculine and your feminine, and whether or not you're locked in a one-sided masculine life, which means that you're pushing and working too hard. You have a strong fighter. Mm-hmm. Or if you're locked in the feminine who doesn't have the masculine present, the voice is weak and kind of airy and disconnected from the body. So it really does show.
That's so fascinating. So basically what you're saying, obviously, is we have both voices. So I, as a woman, have masculine and feminine in my voice. Yeah. So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but can we dive a little bit deeper into what happens when, let's say, somebody just left the marriage, they're going through divorce, and now here they are, they're alone and they're afraid. And maybe like myself, they muted themselves, they muted their voice towards the end of the marriage or throughout the whole marriage, or I didn't even realize I had done it until I started healing. What happens? You kind of gave an idea of what happens within scientifically, like within the vocal cords, but how can this affect somebody emotionally or spiritually when they have silenced their voice or when they lose that masculine feminine balance?
Mm-hmm. Great question. When we lose the queen, now I talk about the voice, the throat chakra, as the queen, and she speaks on behalf of the needs and wants of the whole body. Mm-hmm. And you can see right here. Now, maybe this person has left the marriage, so she has listened to herself, and she's reacted from this part. She has spoken and she has said, enough, I'm leaving. Now, this is a different person because she's activated herself, hasn't she? And now she's in the world and she's feeling like, finally, I'm free. This is great. Now, the other person who has maybe had to leave in a way that are not great circumstances, or maybe was left and feels depleted and feels weak, all of that shows up inside of the body. And now the voice, immediately, you can feel they won't have a voice. It will be very quiet, and it will be hard for them to get a voice out. And the reason why, there's a deeper reason for this. The voice itself requires the solar plexus power center in order for it to sit up and have sound. Mm. So that power center is the solar plexus, like I said. And so as your listeners are listening right now, maybe they could put a hand on the solar plexus and maybe feel, how is my power center?
Why don't you tell them where that is? Because some people may not know the different chakras.
Just below the sternum. Below the sternum. It's right in that sort of soft, squishy place right there. So yeah, when this place, this is our power center. It is responsible for authority. It's responsible for confidence, our self-esteem, all of these things. And this gets severely crippled. I know, I went through it. I went through this. Now, I was one of these people who left. I was the leaver, and I was like, yoo-hoo, I've left. And then I didn't realize after that, I don't know how you feel about this, Rachel, but after that, it's like I left, and it took all the strength from me to go through that. And that's when I crashed, is after that. So for me, I had this, immediate, wonderful burst of energy. And then I had to go in and really do some healing and some purification of my solar plexus so that I could get my voice back in alignment again with my power and in a way that is balanced. Because, as soon as I say the word power, Rachel, what do you think? Do you think like, oh, well, then somebody is like powerful? Well, that's not what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a balance of power. It has a beautiful balance of softness and strength. It's empowerment. It's an empowerment.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's giving the power back to yourself to be able to make choices and understand that nothing is perfect, and understand that everything's only temporary, and understand that you might make a wrong decision, and that's okay, because you're going to learn from it. That's the only way we grow. Right. So I think it's really this empowerment to, when you know how to utilize your voice and you take that back, it's not control, because there's so many things that are out of our control, but in a sense, it's,
excuse me.
Yeah. That's why I would call it more of an empowerment. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So to be empowered, to be fully empowered requires the whole body. It requires us to be able to see clearly, to then express ourselves, to feel an alignment all the way through with the emotions in the belly, being grounded. Now, after all that goes on, there has a tendency to be quite a lot of ungrounding happening in the body. So one of the things that is amazing about singing is that it helps to ground us in the moment. So even making sound, like people who are listening, they're like, well, maybe I don't want to sing. Maybe I don't like the sound of my voice, but making any kind of sound is helpful for pulling out the cork. Like the cork that is put into women, that cork that says you have to be quiet. And the carefulness and the sense of pulling in on oneself is off the charts. Yeah. And so making any kind of sound, Rachel, making right off the bat, like even as they're listening right now, maybe they're like, just let any kind of sound happen, because singing is a whole different level. Yeah.
I agree. I think I love when I am, even just throughout the course of a day, if I'm doing too many things and I realize, Rachel, you need to just take a minute, and I will start humming, and I try different tones, and it really grounds me. Also, just the sighing, like,
yeah, exactly.
That's a release, right? So that is. And I had a wonderful podcast with Avi Sherbill, who's a sound healer. And we talked a lot about these types of things and types of ways to express through things like humming and things like sighing. And it really, if you are aware of it, next time you feel that, for those of you who are listening or watching, if you feel some kind of an overwhelm, or you feel sad, or you feel whatever, like you can't focus or you're not present, and you just try these things. I mean, singing, yes, we will talk more about that. But if you just try the sighing, the humming, it really, I think it brings you down a level and kind of grounds you. And sometimes I even do that when I'm on a walk in the morning with my dog. I do a lot of walking, and if I start thinking about what I have to do later and I'm not being present, and I'll just start humming while I'm walking. Sometimes I start singing like quietly, or start humming. And the humming combined with the movement really is a whole different level for me. Yeah.
This is beautiful, Rachel, to hear that, because it is like that humming activates all sorts of different parts of our bodies. And we can get really, really detailed about the humming. It's humming, but it's also going into the ears and the cheekbones and the nose and the eyes and the forehead. There's all these things that I do in my classes, and we get really nuanced and really detailed about being able to open up this defended part of ourselves, which is our face.
Mm-hmm.
Our face it gets so defended. So I have the whole face broken into all of these different things. I've nicknamed everything, by the way, because when people first come to me, they're quite defended, and it usually shows up on the face, in a way that is either somebody's very serious and very this way. I'm very serious, or they are the opposite of that, where they're always smiling and they're always in the pleaser. Right. So we get locked in our nervous systems on one side or the other, and singing is this way of being able to weave that light and dark, going back and forth, so we can find this beautiful place inside of us. And this is the only way that the heart can open. The only way that the heart can open, Rachel, is if we find that little sweet spot that is in between open and closed, light and dark. And you can see right now I'm doing the infinity symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you can see, I could take it to the heart, masculine and feminine, and we embrace both sides. This is a huge thing I'm saying. I'm not just like saying, but when we sing, what we do is we take that infinity symbol and we turn it upside down, and it's here and here.
Wow.
And here and here. And this right here, isn't that something? That we balance this here, and it's the vocal cords that are in the center here that are what we use as our tool to create a balance between the above and the below.
Wow.
In one note, so that note gets held inside of gets held inside of a container of love inside of the heart.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that. I know that when I started my healing journey after divorce, I discovered that I had to open my heart, because I felt like my heart was it was closed so tightly, because I had become extremely serious. And I've talked about this before. And I actually think that singing helps to open the heart also, because it's associated with your inner child, and you're letting your inner child out. And I locked mine away. She was in the closet for many years, and I didn't realize that. In fact, until my former spouse made a comment to me towards the end, and he said, "You're so serious all the time. You never have fun anymore." And so that became kind of the catalyst to me going deeper to figure out, wow, he's right. Like, when did I become so serious? When did I trap her in the closet? Because I love lightness and beauty, and I love, love. I want to be love. I want to come from love. I want to emanate love. I don't want to be closed up. And so singing is such a wonderful thing. And I'm sure all of the viewers and the listeners can attest to this, that when you sing, it opens something in you. It turns on a light. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you do this work.
Rachel, can I just come back to what you said about you being serious? And because I know this myself too, and I, like so many of the women that work with me, when they first come in, they're like this. But here's what I think about that. I think that women have had to be serious because the men are not. I think that the women have to hold so much of this seriousness and responsibility that was not being taken. You know, potentially some of your listeners will relate to this, I think, a lot. So the woman ends up really having to hold so much responsibility, and that creates an overload of seriousness inside of the body. And then that shuts down the inner child. Because you're absolutely right about what you said. I mean, this is the inner play that has been abdicated for responsibility and seriousness, which we can't help. Because if you're in a relationship and somebody is not taking that part of the equation, then we have, as women, we have no option because we're the one holding the heart of it all.
Right.
So see if that resonates with you or not, right? But to get now to the play of that inner child, we have to let go to the inner child. And this is another thing, another reason why people are terrified of singing. You know, there's so many reasons that, you know, we have to let go to the unconscious, to our emotions. As soon as we start, now toning is one thing, humming is one thing. This is beautiful. This creates a stability and a steadiness and a groundingness in people. Yeah, this is really good. But the heart has two aspects, light and dark. Toning is one side, and that creates a stability. So what is on the other side? Flexibility and movement. If we have toning and humming, again, this is about stabilizing and grounding. Then if we overdo that direction, we're overdoing the masculine. Do you hear that? If we overdo that direction, we're over stabilizing ourselves, and we're not allowing for the movement that the feminine desires and needs in order to be feminine.
So how do we learn to balance those so that we're not on one side and off balance? Yeah, I kind of think of it as like the body is like the T-spine, and when maybe your one shoulder's higher than the other, or your hip, and your body isn't thrown off balance, and you can feel it in your knee or your neck or wherever it shows up. It seems like the same type of thing, but on a different level, obviously. So how do we balance that?
Exactly. Start by making two notes. So when we tone, great. We're making one sound, and that one sound is a fantastic grounding. Now let's make two notes and make them different. Now I just made a jump. Now there's three notes. Now I'm doing a whole bunch of notes. And what that's doing is it inside of me, it's pulling on movement and energy in motion, which is emotions. It's going in equally and oppositely, remember, right? As something is going out, it's going in. The more that I can play and allow for messiness, and people, women who are listening, please don't be like, oh, I have to sound good. No, just let it be, just let it out. Do you want to try it? Do you want to try a little bit of it?
I don't sound like you, but yes.
So let's just do like, I want you to move from one note to the other and have them be two different notes.
Okay. Sounds terrible. Okay.
Good. And then you stumble into yourself. You stumble into the part that wants to hold on. You heard that, right?
Yes.
I am the same. I stumble into the part of me that wants to control things as well. You know, I totally do. And that is only there for us to feel our way through it to the other side, not to bring in the perfectionist to say it needs to be perfect.
Yes.
So let's do 3 or 4 notes now. So if I were to do it, now I moved all the way through the spine in that, and I can feel that going on inside of me. So, Rachel, what about you?
You're turning it over to me. Oh my goodness. I don't. We do it with me.
Let's just like do 4 notes and then yeah.
Okay, so just variations between the sounds 4 times.
Just feel like you're going into different rooms. Fantastic.
Okay. My listeners and viewers, please don't laugh. But I love this because I felt very nervous to do that here. If I was just with you, I wouldn't feel nervous. But knowing that other people are out there listening, it made me feel nervous. And so I'm glad I tried that, even though, yeah.
And so, if I were working with you, Rachel, what I would do is I would play the piano and you would just be able to roll with it and see whatever comes out. And then what happens is all this emotion gets uncorked. I was talking about the cork earlier. And it just, at first, people are very hesitant. I know, because you know why? Not because, and this is my theory, and I've trusted it for a lot of years, not because they're afraid of sounding bad, but because they're afraid of what they're going to touch and feel as a result of it. It's true. I am controlling the sound of my voice because I'm afraid of the power of what it's going to make me feel inside.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is an epiphany. It's amazing. That's an amazing, yes, I have never thought of that way.
And you know what it does is it really takes women off the hook because we're always so concerned with how we look and what we sound like and all this off, it's like, it's been put on us, And so if and this was also my awakening from understanding my external voice had an internal opposite. So if we get really, really interested and curious about how my voice is touching me inside, that right there is a very big shortcut to feeling. We don't have to get fancy about it. We don't have to talk about our history or our story. It will come out, Rachel. It will just come out because we're uncorking and we're letting something that is the feminine essence, letting her move and letting her untwist herself back into this moment. And it's going to be painful. You're going to feel a lot, whoever is listening here, you might, I would imagine you will, feel a lot, but feeling is okay. Feeling is okay. We can feel. It's when we don't feel that's the problem.
Wow. So, you said a lot of things in there that are important. I think, yes, feeling is important. We need to feel. We need to express those feelings.
Yeah.
And I have found with every now and then I work with a man, but usually it's been women the majority of the time. And I feel there's a difference in how men tend to hold things inside and women, we are different. Like you said, we are the creator. We are the fixer. We are the one who takes care of people. And because of all that, we tend to be more outwardly emotional, more expressive emotionally than men. And so, yeah. And it's really interesting to me that I never, like I said, I've done the humming before and I have no problem in expressing myself and my feelings with my words, with my writing, with my speaking voice. But I've not ventured into this realm of expressing myself through my singing voice. And so This is really such a fascinating.
It really is. It is the healing. The thing is we can, if I may say, we can get really heady about vibration and healing through sound. It has to be some kind of organized thing, and you have to hit this note in your heart and this note and this note. It's all just very structural and all very heady. No. She wants to move and dance. This is the inner child we're talking about here. And it is the divine feminine who is the destroyer as well. She wants to clear space and clear energy. She's incredibly powerful. And so I think, I'm also hitting on a point that this is also why people don't want to do it, because when we unleash the power, the real true feminine essence, it is quite shocking how wild and how huge and free and unapologetic she is. And she is, the healer of the world. I mean, this is. And so do you see that we're sort of sitting on the surface, right? Just going, oh, I don't know. And, opening up and just allowing a little bit of that and getting a bird's eye view of, oh my God, this is, and it could take a while because there's a lot of blocks that are in the way of that flow. And we have to, in a way, titrate it, in order to not feel overwhelmed with how much passion and excitement and pleasure is there. Because the feminine principle, along with movement, is pleasure and enjoyment.
I love it.
That's what she wants, right?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's kind of similar to some of the other types of tools that we use in the healing process, where they might sound scary, and we might decide, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to try that. And I'm thinking of just even the idea of changing the pattern, right? Because a lot of times women come to me and we all have these patterns that we go through. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you go make your coffee or your tea, whatever. Everything, it's a pattern. And when we leave when we leave a partnership and we're just now a me, we have to redefine or recreate or create different patterns, right? In order to become that higher version of who we are, which is the goal. The goal is not to become a different person or a different you. The goal is to find the you that's maybe buried under so many things, right? Shame, unhappiness, you name it, right? I mean, we could go on forever, but find the you and sharpen her so she is even better. And that's the goal. And I always tell people are so afraid that, oh, I have to change who I am. No, you don't. And that's what I love about what you do too, is that it is causing one to venture into something that sounds a little uncertain because it's not a normal pattern. And it's something that could actually, like you said, you could feel it in so many different parts. And especially over time, it may not happen right away, but over time with the correct training, working with someone like you. And I don't know anyone else who does this kind of work, by the way. You are amazing. And so I think that's just a wonderful, beautiful way to jumpstart the healing process.
Yeah, Rachel, beautifully said all of that. I love it. And hopefully your listeners will be able to start to feel like this upward rising of this feminine wellness. Like it's really a wellness. It's from the deep well inside of us that just begins to rise up of healing. And that is what is the healer, is this flow of energy inside of us that can flow. Now, there is a descending current as well that we need, which is the masculine. The feminine rises and he descends. She rises. So when we uncork and we get that flow and all of that, movement, and that's beautiful. In my classes and in my sessions, I do a balancing of both. As we talked about in the beginning, I do a balancing of letting her fly and letting her move, and then doing a descending grounding. It's like she rises and he goes, I'm here. I'm going to help you. And this is inside of me. I have my own inner masculine, as we talked about earlier, and he can descend down and begin to hold her in a way that women have never been able to experience, maybe, in their relationship. And this is the light masculine inside of us that comes down like a sword and meets her as she rises. And they work together at the heart. They come together at the heart. And that is the voice work, the singing work itself is a medium and a tool for transformation of the energy field. So can you see that we're talking about singing, but not just singing? This is a medium to work through and have an alchemical reorganizing of how the light and the dark and the feminine and the masculine relate on the inner world in our heart.
That's so.
And then maybe, we'll attract somebody on the outside world that actually reflects that. Now that's the big, that's where it really, really does get interesting.
Yes. Okay. So your work and everything that you just mentioned is so aligned with what I do as far as balancing, like you were talking about the masculine and the feminine, and how it causes you or allows you, enables you to open the heart. And when you open the heart, then you've become a better version of yourself, and you are learning to love yourself. And you can't find love with another until you have the love that is within. And so once we get to that point where we can say, because a lot of people, I always ask at the very beginning with new clients, do you love yourself? And most people say, of course I do. But when we start jumping into the work and they realize, wow, now I really love myself. I feel differently about myself. I bless myself. I feel it here. And that is the opening of the heart. And that is exactly what you're talking about. It's aligning of the body, the mind, the spirit, opening your heart so that you love yourself. And once you do that, you attract the similar energy. And that's why I always tell women, do not date until you do the work. And you do not date after divorce until you do the work and you learn to love yourself. That is the most important thing.
Wow, that is really rich, Rachel, what you're offering women. That's really beautiful.
And
they have come to the right place when they come and find you, for sure.
Okay, so let's do something. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
You have really, I hope people watch this episode more than once, because you have shared so many beautiful, juicy tidbits of wisdom here, many which I haven't even thought about. And I feel like I've covered the gamut when it comes to this healing from divorce thing. So I love when something new just like checks and it makes me see something in a different perspective. And it's wonderful. If there's someone listening right now or watching and she says, well, I know we already kind of talked about the different tonalities, but is there anything else someone can do sitting there by herself to start really feeling this in her heart?
Something that is so simple that we can do when we are in relationship with people. Let's say you're not feeling well and you're hurting, your heart is hurting, and you're going to go out, or even when you visit the grocery store, when we are speaking that we feel, and right now I'm doing it, the sound of our voice inside of our body. Now that right there is this reflection that we've been touching on. Mm-hmm. There is a voice going out, but my voice right now is actually feeding me my own vibrational love. So wherever we are, and even somebody can, walk around the house and talk, and say something just to sort of get out of the gate with this idea of vibration is healing. The sound of my voice, no matter what I've been told, the sound of my voice is healing, and I can feel it activating and bringing me back to my life force, to my emotional well-being. And that is, I think, a really good start. And then maybe that person is like, oh, maybe I will go and make a sound, or maybe I'm really angry, and maybe that can come out through the sound of the voice. Because you know what, to be honest with you, this is a great deal of the work that I do is working with women's anger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And letting that warrior, which is all that fighting energy in the body, it has to get off-gassed.
Has to release, yes.
It has to release, otherwise it is creating a too much of a muscly defensive system, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so working with anger, like sound, just letting yourself make noises that you might think are, you just got to walk through that feeling of discomfort. You have to, in order to claim your voice.
Yes. Yes.
When it needs to be claimed. In order for us to say no in a way that is in alignment with the whole body. No, yes, no, yes. That is a wholehearted no and a wholehearted yes.
That's so beautiful. You have just been a plethora of emotion and beauty, and I love the work that you do. And I am so grateful to have met you and to have had you here on this podcast. Is there anything else that you want to share, kind of parting words? And by the way, I will have all of her information, contact information on the screen for those of you who are watching. And of course, in the show notes for both the podcast on YouTube and also for the audio podcast as well. So you can reach out. But is there anything else that you'd care to leave us with?
I'd like to say that I have been through this. I have done all of this. I am walking the walk. I am a person that has been very muted. I am somebody that has had to really free herself over a long period of time, and so I have a lot of tools to help people because I've done this journey. So Thank you so much for having me, Rachel.
And those are
so great.
You're so welcome. And I just want to add to what you just said, is that those are the people, the healers who truly help, are the ones who have been through it and who have come out on the other side. Yeah. And it's not to say that there's never a moment where you go down. We all do. We're human.
Still in process. I still have parts of me that are hiding, for sure. It's just, I'm human, and that's okay. But I'm really okay with the process of all these parts of me that are because I think that it's easy to get caught up in the, I have to heal. Well, in every moment, we have an opportunity to heal by accepting where we're at. So I can feel we're going into another podcast. So
no, it's also beautiful, and it's also related. And I love, this has been such a great conversation. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. And for those of you who are women healing from divorce, first of all, I want you to know that you are not alone. And this episode is proof positive of that, because we have wonderful people like Anna who are there to help you get control of your voice, take back your voice and empower yourself so you can create this new life. And I know it's really scary. I know that I've been there, Anna's been there. And so you can do it. You can do it. And most of the time we need a little guidance. So please, if you like this episode, please do yourself a favor and subscribe so you can get new episodes as they are released on Fridays. And please reach out to Anna to learn more about her unique way of helping you heal. And thank you so much for being here today. It is my honor and pleasure to have you here. And I hope that you come back. Thank you and take care.
Thank you, Rachel.